video, we are looking at quartiles, deciles, and percentiles. Together we call them fractiles. They have a general formula of saying lower class boundary plus class interval over frequency of that particular fractile into the unknown fractile that you're looking for divided by summation f over the particular fractile you're looking at minus cumulative frequency of the class before that particular fractile you're looking at. For example, if we have quartiles, we're looking at quartiles. Quartiles is equal to L, lower class boundary, of that particular quartile that you're looking at, plus C over frequency of that particular quartile you're looking at into the particular quartile you're looking at multiplied by the total number of items or summation f over the particular 4 quartiles you are dividing by 4 minus cumulative frequency over class before the quartile that you're looking at. Okay, let's use K. So for decile, you're dividing by 10. For percentile, you're dividing by 100. That's just the difference. So for this particular frequency distribution table, we're going to find the quartiles, the deciles, and then the percentile. Let's begin by looking at quartile. For quartile, we have first quartile, second quartile, and third quartile. Second quartile is the same thing as the median because the median divides the table into 2, quartile divides it into 4. So if we're looking at second quartile is the same thing as the median. For example, first quartile, we had that here is now 1, K is 1 for first quartile, K is 1, so N over 4. So that is what first quartile is. So, but for median will be something like L plus C over F into N over 2 minus FB. So that will be the median. So second quartile means you have 2 over 4. So 2 divides itself, 1 over 2. So N over 2. So let's look at the first quartile of this particular. So what we're going to do is to create the class boundary. So here is lower class boundary. Here is upper class boundary. So we also have the cumulative frequency. So what we do here, we remove 0.5 here and write it here. Add 0.5 to these people and write it here because they are all whole numbers. So here becomes 10.5 to 20.5, 20.5 to 30.5. So the next thing we do is to create the cumulative frequency. We come here, add this particular frequency to anybody that comes before it. Here now, nobody comes before it. So 42 plus 0 is 42. 42 plus 38 is 80. 80 plus 125 gives us 205. 205 plus 84 gives us 289. 289 plus 45 gives us 334. 334 plus 36 gives us 370. 370 plus 30 gives us 400. So for us to get the first quartile, we need to first of all get Kn, which is 1 times n, which is n over 4. Our n is 400 because that is summation f. So 400 over 4 is what gives us 100. So this 100 is the position of the class of the first quartile. So we go to the cumulative frequency. The first place that contains 100 is our quartile, first quartile class. So here is our first quartile class. So we say that our first quartile is lower class boundary of the first quartile, which is lower class boundary 30.5 plus the class interval is 10, 10, 10. So 10 over frequency of the first quartile. The frequency of the first quartile is 125. Our n over 4 is already 100 minus the cumulative frequency of the class before that first quartile class. So the cumulative frequency of the class, this is our first quartile. So the class before its cumulative frequency, that's 80. So what we're now going to have, so we resolve bracket first. Here is 20. So we have 20 into, here is 0 0.08, 0 0.08 plus 30.5. So here, if we multiply these two, we have 1.6. 1.6 plus 30.5 gives us 32.1. So these are first quartile. So for us to get the third quartile, our third quartile, the first thing we need to do is to get our, to resolve here. Here is 3, because k now is 3, third quartile, 3n over 4. So 3n over 4, because it's third quartile, so which is 3 times 400 over 4. Here is already 100, so 100 times this gives us 300. So we go to the cumulative frequency and look for the first place that contains 300, which is here. So here is our third quartile class. Third quartile class. So lower class boundary of the third quartile class is, lower class boundary of the third quartile 50.5, 50.5 plus our class interval remains 10 over frequency of that class is 45, which is 45 into, we have already resolved here to be 300, 3n, that's here, we've already resolved it to be 300. So 300 cumulative frequency of the class before that third quartile. Cumulative frequency of the class before that third quartile is 289. So 289. So if we resolve here, we're going to get 11. I resolve here, we'll get 0.22. So 11 times 0.22 gives us 2.42. So plus 50.5 gives us 52.92. 52.92. So here is 11, here is 0.22, so which is 2.42. If you add it to this, we get this. So the next thing is decile. So decile, we have lower class boundary of that decile you're looking at, class interval over frequency of that decile class into k9 over 10. The decile divides it into 10. So cumulative frequency of the class before that decile class you're looking at. So let's say, for example, we're looking at the 6th decile class. If we're looking at the 6th decile class, k becomes 6. So for us to find where it lies, we say 6 times 400 over 10. So that what we'll get is 240. Yeah, 240. So if we get 240, we go to cumulative frequency and look for the first place that contains 240, which is here. So here becomes our first decile class. So we now have lower class boundary of the decile class, which is 40.5 plus class interval, which is 10 over the frequency of that class, which is 84, then into, we have already resolved this to be 240. 240 minus the cumulative frequency of the class before that decile class. This is the decile class. This is a cumulative class, frequency of the class before it, which is 205. So if we resolve the bracket first, we're going to get 35. And if we resolve this, we're going to get approximately 0.119. Then if we multiply them, remember plus 40.5. If we multiply this first, we're going to get about 4.165. If we now add 40.5 to it, we're going to get about 44.665. So this is our 6th decile class. Any decile class you're asked to, just change the value of k to that particular class. And remember, whenever you get your answer, the next is the percentile. Let's say the percentile is lower class boundary of that percentile class plus class interval over the frequency of that percentile. Then we have k, the percentile class we're looking. The percentile divides it into 100 minus cumulative frequency of the class before that percentile. So if we are saying, let's find the 90th percentile. So P90 becomes, first of all, we resolve here 90 times the 400 over that 100, which will give us about here is 100, 900, 100. That's here will give us 4 first of all, then times this, which is 360. So we go here to the table, look for the first place that contains 360. The first place that contains 360 is here. So our lower class boundary is 60.5 plus 10 over frequency of that class 36, then into here is already 360 minus the cumulative frequency of the class before that class, which is 334. So from here, then 334, which is minus 334. If we resolve the bracket alone, we're going to get about 26. Here will give us about 0.278, thereabouts approximately, then plus 60.5. So if we multiply out first, we're going to get about 7.228. Then if we add 60.5 to it, we're going to be getting about 67. Yeah, 67.7. So 67.778. So whatever you get, make sure it is in, you can see that it must fall within that class. 67 is within that class. So please make sure you share this video and subscribe.